You know what I also like about the Dolphins? They have a secret weapon this year. Or shall I say, they have multiple secret weapons this year. You know what they are? They're called the motivated player. There is nothing like the motivated player because, any of us that are professionals, right? We all get paid to do a job, right? We've got these officers here. They get paid to protect us in our community all the time, right? And right now they're in a comfort zone, right? There's nothing going on. There's no trouble. But when there's trouble, their senses and everything get heightened, right? Because all of a sudden now, what they do something we never do. Their lives are on the line every single freaking day. But when the shit hits the fan, and all of a sudden things change, right? Now your life is really on the line because you're now taking on a challenge, right? And this happens not like the officers. They go through things you and I will never go through. But the challenges are there in life, right? You got to pay your mortgage at the end of the month. You got to work your ass off. You got to make sure you perform at work. You want to get that raise. Well, all of a sudden, your job is on the line. Now you've got to perform at another level to get that raise, to get that promotion. You know what I'm saying? And desperation is a thing that drives us. Whether we're trying to protect, we're trying to save our lives, we're trying to score, we're trying to get a new job, we're trying to sell a house, sell a car, whatever we're trying to do, right? Well, the motivated player, sure, he should be motivated because he's a pro. But, when you do your work every day, there's different kinds of motivations, right? And then when it picks up a little bit, like let's say I'm doing this show now and I'm in a relaxed atmosphere, but when I'm doing the Dolphins pre and post game show, there seems to be a little bit more intensity involved, right? That kind of stuff. Well, the Dolphins have a secret weapons this year. It's not so secret, but it's things that most people will not be looking at. And let me give you an example. Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard and his agent know they're going to get their asses cut at the end of the year. In the offseason, they're coming to a head when it comes to his contract. And they're going to have to make a financial decision like they had to do with Jones last year. And we told you about Jones getting released a year before he got released. And we told you about X getting released 2 years before he's getting released. He'll get released next year. So X knows that he has to go out after an injury-riddled year and go out and ball out. So the Dolphins may decide to keep him, or if he does hit free agency, he had a great year. Somebody else will sign him that needs a big, corner. Because if Cam Smith plays well, what do you think happens next year? You got to sign Phillips. You got to sign Waddle. You got to sign Hunt. You got to sign all kinds of players. They need money. You got to sign Holland. How are you going to do that? You're going to have to get rid of some salaries and bring others. That's why Cam Smith was drafted. So if Cam Smith or Kohu ball out, you're moving them outside to take over for X. So X has to ball out to either stay in Miami or play for somebody else. Christian Wilkins did not get his money because he did not produce the sack numbers. He's asking for the kind of money that you pay defensive tackles that get sacks. Guess what Christian Wilkins has to do this year? Play at a high level and go get sacks because he wants to get paid by Miami or somebody else. Motivated. Another guy, Austin Jackson, at the end of his contract, at the end of your patience, at the end of everybody's patience. But if he wants to have a career in this league and doesn't want to be a journeyman or a backup, which is what he'll end up next year, if he does not perform at a high level this year, Austin Jackson will be motivated. And then there's one guy that is motivated above all of those guys. Tua Tagovailoa. Tua cannot have injuries like he had last year. He cannot have concussions. If he wants that $250, $300 million contract, if he wants $150 million in guarantees or whatever the hell they give these quarterbacks nowadays. He needs to be motivated. And that's why he built up his body, learned jiu-jitsu, doing everything and anything possible to stay motivated and win that money. So it's a really interesting weapon that the Dolphins have. They have talent, but they also have some stars that are motivated from within because they are at crossroads in their career. Tua has to prove he can stay healthy. Christian Wilkins has to prove he can get sacks. X has to prove he still has it. I mean, all of this here just sets it up. And Austin Jackson has to prove he can freaking start for an entire season. Motivation is a beautiful thing. Sometimes it comes out of desperation. Sometimes it comes out of fear. Sometimes it comes out of hunger, but it's there for one reason or another. And there's a heightened sense of urgency. And right now, there are 4 Miami Dolphins that have a heightened sense of urgency on this NFL season. And that, my friends, is a positive for the Miami Dolphins because they cannot mail it in. They cannot complain. They cannot say they didn't get paid or this, that, or whatever. They all have to prove in order to get paid. It's pretty cool. It's a hell of a weapon for the team. It's a hell of a weapon for the fans because this is what makes your team even better. Stars who are motivated to prove something. Pretty cool.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.